Hello and welcome to Aviation this week on Channels Television. I'm Bukola Joe Oketumbi. It's certainly not the best of times for players in the global air transport industry as the continuous wave of the coronavirus is dealing a deadly blow on airlines and other players in the logistic value chain. Here in Nigeria, attention is shifting more than ever to airline business model and aircraft types, all in a bid to reduce costs, improve profits, and of course, the longevity of carrier companies, even in the midst of the pandemic. That's our discourse on this edition, plus the development of vaccination passports in the United Kingdom. Our journey starts here.
The COVID-19 pandemic continues to pose challenges for every sector of society, but the airline industry is badly hit. The immediate problem for airlines is cash flow, and according to the International Air Transport Association, airline carriers are expected to see net loss of $38.7 billion in 2021. With airlines cutting costs by 45.8%, and revenues down 60.9%, the loss from 2020 will be reduced sharply by $80 billion in 2021. Airlines are also expected to bleed cash at least until the fourth quarter of the year. Airlines are recording lower passenger traffic as some countries have placed restrictions and bans to curb the spread of COVID-19. The local industry in Nigeria is also affected, and it may just be time to rejig business models. With fuel alone gulping about 40% of aircraft operating cost, regional jets that are narrow-bodied and fuel-efficient may well be the new deal breaker to achieving a sustainable operation.
The choice of equipment determines the profitability of your business and its sustainability. Profitability and sustainability to be there in the long haul, so that you don't join the queue of those that have started and have quit. And there's no way that you can compete and compare yourself with airlines that are properly kitted with the right kind of equipment as an aircraft that consumes less fuel, does less maintenance, direct operating cost is very low, and operating the aircraft is so simple. The workload on the pilots is simple and easy. It allows them to bother themselves in flying the aircraft.
Before now, Nigeria's local industry's major fleet is the Boeing series, which are no longer fuel efficient and are very expensive to maintain, with a C-check costing between $2 million to $3 million per aircraft.
Your C-check, D-check or engine overhaul is a function of calendar. They can say after 2 years or after 18 months, you must do this test, or after so hours of flight, or after so number of cycles. Cycle is when you take off from Nigeria, you land in the US, is one cycle, 12 hours flight. You take off from Nigeria, you land in the UK or you land in Europe, 5-6 hours flight. That is one cycle. Now your check, your engine overhaul is a function of that particular cycle. Now if you have too many frequency, 25-minute flight, 1 hour flight, 40-minute flight, 50-minute flight, your cycles are counting. So before you know it, you have accumulated so much cycles, yet you've not made so much money because you are not doing a long haul or a proper regional flight.
One airline that has survived through the times is Overland Airways, which has been using the small aircraft like the ATR turboprop aircraft, which is deemed the right type for local operations. Aero Contractors and Arik Air have some Dash 8s and turboprops. Abom Air also has narrow-bodied aircraft that takes maximum 90 passengers, all of which are the right equipment for short hauls and easy to fill up on low-traffic routes. Air Peace had earlier added the 50-seater Embraer 145 jet to its fleet, and just recently acquired the E195 aircraft, a 124-seater.
Used planes are very strong. They are good, they are safe. Don't get me wrong. They are all very good and safe. The brand new plane gives you that grace to have some savings at the end of the day because of less maintenance requirements.
On a whole, the desire for local operators is long-term sustainability, at least airline companies that will break the 10-year cycle of failure.
To be honest, part of the reason why an average lifespan of an airline in Nigeria is about 10 years. Go and check the history. Check the days of Okada, Chachangi era, Albarka era, all those. Is not just about the Boeing, it's wrong aircraft utilization, wrong aircraft usage. So you need to pick the right aircraft. There are airlines, I will give you a simple example. Nigerians don't like flying the turboprop engine, like what Overland is actually flying, like what Aero is actually flying, like what Arik is flying, that is the Dash 8. These are the aircraft built for those regional and domestic operations.
Africa is one market. Royal Air Morocco can come, pick a passenger from Kano and drop them in Enugu. So also Ethiopian and the rest. So if we do not prepare ourselves to begin to populate our country with the right kind of equipment, at the right price, with the right kind of airlines, this market of 200 million people, Nigeria, at the center of Africa, will be taken by others in Africa.
IATA has declared 2020 the industry's worst financial year. Airlines cut expenses by an average of $1 billion a day over 2020 and will still rack up unprecedented losses. IATA is glad that the $173 billion in financial support by governments has lessened bankruptcies in the industry on a massive scale, although 43 airlines worldwide are no longer in existence.
Smaller capacity aircraft are really the deal breaker for domestic airlines in Nigeria, as they are more modern and fuel efficient, and they have become more important for the airline business in the midst of the pandemic. Domestic carrier Ibom Air's Chief Operating Officer George Racy breaks it down for us on our interview segment.
The business side of things has been clobbered. There's far less passengers than there used to be. Passengers are no longer willing to pay as much as they could have paid before. So in general, there's a reduction of passenger numbers across the globe, and every airline has taken a beating with respect to passenger numbers. I would say that we've recovered pretty nicely, more so than we projected. Obviously, we believe that we have the right equipment for this route structure, and the choice of equipment has proved itself along the lines, especially post-COVID-19. We are able to carry loads that make it worth our while. As at the business planning period, we decided to look for what equipment would be the best fit for this route structure, mostly 1-hour flights or under 1-hour flights. We wanted to do frequencies to allow people to have choice. If you did frequencies with the 150, 160 seater, you would be carrying less than 50, 60 passengers. But with the 86, 90 seater, if you do frequencies and you're carrying 60, 70 passengers, you're doing very well load factor wise, you're doing very well viability wise. And the airplane has proved to be the right size. It's carrying 90 passengers. It's burning far less fuel than the bigger airplanes, older airplanes. It's proved its reliability. So our schedule reliability is very, very high because the airplanes aren't breaking down. They're new, under 10 years, all of them. We think we made the right choice for this. We didn't even know this was going to happen, but the fact that COVID came in sort of validated the choice we made in terms of the aircraft type. Okay, we have Canadair regional jets, the CRJ 900s. They carry between 86 and 90 passengers. So our aircraft are either 86 or 90 passenger aircraft. And they operate with less fuel burn, which is the most important, which is one of the biggest cost elements of operations domestically. So you're able to do better economics per seat than a larger aircraft in a one-hour sector operation. So it has proven itself over the last 18 months or so that we've been flying. And we're very happy that we made the choice first place. Everyone has their business plan.
Okay.
They think through the decisions they make before they make. We just decided not to go that route, but to go find an airplane that would allow us do these short sectors, carrying just the right amount of passengers to make the business viable. So our aircraft type and the choice of our aircraft type is proving to be correct. And I noticed that the airlines that are coming on board now are mostly going for these smaller regional jets. Even some of the bigger airlines that are buying new airplanes are going for smaller regional jets, more efficient, more modern. So I think with time, it is very likely that the choice of aircraft type in the Nigerian domestic market will change towards the more efficient regional jets.
Governments and developers around the world are exploring the potential use of vaccine passports as a way of reopening the economy by identifying those protected against the coronavirus. In the United Kingdom, those developing the technologies, however, say such tools come with consequences, such as potentially excluding all groups from social participation, and are asking lawmakers to think seriously about how they're used. The travel and entertainment industries, which have struggled to operate at a profit while imposing social distancing regulations, are particularly interested in a way of swiftly checking who has protection. Among those developing passports are biometrics companies Iprove and cybersecurity firm Mvine. They've built a vaccine pass that is now being tested within Britain's National Health Service after receiving the United Kingdom's government funding.
So the task that, as a team, we set ourselves was, how can we produce a vaccine certificate which in the end only has two bits of information in it? One is, has this person been vaccinated? And the other is, what does this person look like? You really don't need to know anything else at all. You don't need to know things like names and addresses and ages and health insurance numbers or anything like that.
The confirmation of patrons' vaccination status could help the nighttime economy, which employs some 420,000 people in the northern English city of Manchester, get off its knees.
From an organiser's point of view, they're not viable. But secondly, a gig isn't a gig, or a festival is not a festival unless you stood shoulder to shoulder with your friends. You're on the dance floor. You can't create the atmosphere. So those social distance gigs, they served a purpose. They kept people in jobs. But we have to look to get back to normal.
While there have been experiments in social distance concerts and events over the last year, organisers say they were not financially viable.
So as event organisers, safety has to come first with us. That's always the case. Believe it or not, when you go behind the scenes at many of these large-scale festivals, we have built almost hospitals behind there. So safety is always, pre-COVID, has been number one on our agenda. But yeah, I don't think we should be forcing people into the vaccine passport. It should be a choice. But on entry, if you don't have that passport, then we will give you another option.
Vaccine certificates are being rolled out in some countries, and in the United States, some private sector health passes are being used to admit customers to sports events.
It's not our place to make judgments about whether they are a good idea or not. I think there are huge issues. I mean, there are issues of discrimination, there are issues of two classes, there are issues of privilege, there are ageist issues, because it's likely older people, such as myself, will get the vaccines before younger people, which means that older people will have access to services and capabilities that young people are excluded from.
Vaccination certificates will not be without issues, and these include discrimination, privilege, and maybe exclusion of the younger generation who may be the last in line to be vaccinated. Welcome back. Europeans escaped the harsh COVID-19 winter to the sunny beaches of Egypt. That's on our special report. Holidaymakers are actually escaping the cold winters and lockdowns in Europe to Egypt's sunny beaches, where officials say despite the low rate of coronavirus cases, occupancy levels remain lower than before the pandemic.
Unfortunately, we have only the nationality that are allowed to travel. So mostly are Ukrainian, Belarusian, Kazakhstan, some Armenian. So it's not a lot of countries, plus some domestic, of course, the people, the Egyptians themselves, who love to come and spend the vacations here. So few people, few nationalities, but it's not something that we can do. Each country is free to put any constraints on their people.
Egypt's tourism sector was hit by the pandemic last year, with only 3 million tourists visiting the country, a mere 23% of the number in 2019. Revenues from tourism also plunged to over $800 million in July to September, from $4.2 billion a year earlier. Egypt gradually reopened to international flights in June 2020 after 3 months of lockdown, but hotels still remain at a 50% occupancy rate.
We are here, our numbers are very low. We put very strict standards for the safety and hygiene. I hope if you can have a look in all hotels about the safety measures. And plus, we don't allow any client to come, any guest to come without the PCR. Plus, we do a lot of tests, PCR tests to our employees. So we are trying to be as safe as we can. Nobody can guarantee everything, but we are doing our best. The capacity is 50%. The social distance here is very important, the face mask. So we are doing everything. Meanwhile, we are trying to let the people enjoy their time.
Tourists from Ukraine began entering Egypt in July 2020, and some holidaymakers present here in 2021 say it's good to be here.
It's great. After Ukraine winter, it's really great, and I can't imagine and I can't understand actually that I'm in Egypt. I'm in a suit where here. Now a little bit better, I think. I hope it would be much better and everyone can have a holiday in Egypt and in any other countries.
Staying with the tourist resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, this time Egyptian authorities have completed the construction of a 36 kilometers concrete wall encircling South Sinai, a project announced in 2019 aimed at tightening security at the popular beach destination. This is also part of Egypt's push to develop South Sinai and restart tourism after taking a hit during the 2011 uprising, followed a few years later by the 2015 Russian airliner crash in the Sinai Peninsula. The Airbus A321 operated by Metrojet had been returning Russian holidaymakers from Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh to St. Petersburg when it exploded and crashed, killing everyone on board. In addition to the beach activities, a museum housing ancient Egyptian artifacts opened in 2020 with hopes to diversify tourism activities in the sunny resorts.
Meet Taiwo Ajayi. She's the first female investigator at Nigeria's Accident Investigation Bureau. A graduate of biochemistry from the University of Lagos, finding work in aviation after school presented the opportunity to train as an investigator with a tedious and thorough journey.
Aviation being an industry that is highly regulated, having trained personnel to carry out their duties, with my background qualification, I was scheduled to attend the standard air traffic control course at Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, Zaria. So after that, we went through the diploma course, went through the flight experience training, and after that we now went to the field to get the license so that we will have a hands-on feel of what the job is about.
Air accident investigation doesn't come easy. Review sessions like this are part of the deal that leads up to a robust report, and Taiwo is the only woman in the room at this time. How has this affected her journey?
I just feel that saying somewhere is male-dominated, it does depends on the mind of the individual. If you might feel it, because definitely a woman will always say when she sees herself just only her in the midst of men, she might feel, but I just believe that once you put your mind that okay, it's my work I want to do, and have cordial relationship with your colleagues, I don't think there is much challenge.
With 34 safety investigators hard at work at AIB, the agency is keen on playing a massive role in the West African sub-region. From accident investigation to another woman promoting the industry via new media, popularly called Mama J, Joy Ogwegbo has almost 30 years of aviation experience, with 15 years as an active flight attendant. She has come through the ranks as cabin crew, pursuer, cabin services supervisor, line trainer, and performance manager. Her journey to the cabin started in 1992 with a dream of wearing the Virgin Atlantic uniform.
I started with Okada Airlines. That was in 1992. Virgin Nigeria, I would tell you, was the high point in my career. My interview session was so interesting. Then they told me that the last thing they needed me to do was to go to a room. They told me the room I should go to, that I should try the uniform on. They actually gave us Virgin Atlantic uniform, cabin crew uniform, to fit in. And when I was in the fitting room, when I put on that uniform, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, dreams to come true.
Taking her experience after 25 years into new media is driven by the passion to inform others about the aviation industry.
The aviation industry was not really projected in positive light. It was more of the negative. I observed that it was when there was something negative happening, maybe a plane crash or something negative, that was when the social media, aviation industry was hyped. There was so much hype about the industry, but there was not much given to the positives. So I told myself that this is an industry I've been for a long while. Why not tell the story from within? Why not change that narrative? That was how I started blogging.
With a degree in mass communication from the Delta State University, a diploma in social work from the University of Benin, and other qualifications, Joy also takes pride in being a mother to her young adult son.
This is where the curtain on the show falls. See you same time next week. I'm Bukola Jo Oketumbi. Please stay safe.